Your destiny is determined by your decisions. All too often, we make decisions that cause us to falter. A lot of people don't even like to make decisions. But in life, you cannot run from decisions. For not to make a decision, you're already making a decision. But there's one decision that we have to make that not even God makes for us. He tells us in the text right here that Matthew so beautifully wrote, he tells us that broad is the way, but narrow is the gate that leads to him. There are two roads that you can go down, two roads that you can choose to go down, to walk down. What scenery do I care to see? We have to understand in this that in walking down these roads, there are consequences. Just like the choices you make in life come with consequences. We get mad at the world and don't realize that we're the corporate of where we are. Your decisions at some point in your life has caused you to be right where you are now, whether it's in your occupation, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in how you raise your children, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in your credit score, whether it's in your education, whatever it is, you've made the decision. Not to make a decision is to make the decision. Fear has caused a lot of us to make decisions. And a lot of those decisions are wrong decisions. A lot of people are afraid to work, so they don't want to go to school, or they don't want to apply for this opportunity, or better yet, they don't want to work for themselves because they're so accustomed mentally to others telling them what to do. So you are one of those that fear good because you get a check. I worked 2 weeks to receive a check. That ain't nothing but slavery in a tux. That's a slave in a tuxedo when you're working to get a check and you're working for a check and you're not bettering yourself and you know exactly what you're going to get every 2 weeks. That's a slave. I've been a slave for 25 years. I'm just one who's bold enough to tell you I've been a slave and that at this older age, now I look back and say I got to do better. Because you will never get to where you want being a slave in the world. Well, listen, going to college a lot of times, it has its good and bad. Thank you, Holy Ghost. Yeah, you're learning, but the one thing that college teach you that people do not talk about is sublime. It's the underlying thing to college a lot of times. It teaches you how to work for others. I wish I had somebody. I wish I had somebody this morning, Sister Danielle, that'll say, I feel that. Look at the books and see how many people graduate from college, go out and work for themselves. Most of the people that are wealthy didn't finish college. They didn't finish college because they realized if I'm going to get what God has for me, if I'm going to be stressed and get the gratification that God has for me, I got to work for myself. I shouldn't have to succumb to how my superintendent feels today. Or how my boss or supervisor, if they having a bad day, now everybody having a bad day. You put yourself down. I got to be at work at this time, and then I get off at this time, and if I work, now they got it to where if you work overtime, you don't get overtime. You just work till the job is done. If I'm going to do that, I might as well work for myself, Sister Tammy, but they will not. People don't want to make the choice. We don't want to make the choice. You become slaves to your job or a slave to a degree. A job salary never supersedes the wealth of an entrepreneur. Wages cannot even go in the same sentence as a millionaire. They make their own salary. They choose what they want to get out today. They choose when they want to work. They choose when they want to go on vacation. You got to ask your boss everything. And we go to church and then come on, I'm a child of God. Show me. When we go back to the basics of what God has created in us, he created all of us to be kings and queens. All of us to be kings and queens, yet we live like rooks. We live like pigeons, and so few of us soar. This ain't going to be a shouting message, Donna, but it's going to help us. It's got Brother John is going to help us this morning. I'm telling you, because we got too many people thinking the wrong way. You are at the point now to where your destiny is determined by your decisions. But the decisions you made are predicated off the influence of others. They're made. You're so worried about, if I do this, my dad's going to hate me. Well, what your dad doing? You know what a good parent is? A good dad is a dad who pushes you to be better. He pushes and straight. You know what a good mom is? She tell you no when everybody else mama told them yes. Because she know that there's a way that seemeth right that leads to destruction. Even on up in the marriage, when the wife tell the husband something sometime, he don't want to hear the wife. He hates to admit that she's normally right. But it's true. You hate to hear your wife is right. How many of y'all, let me raise my hand, Anthony, because I know I got Pastor Summers raising here. That you already know. Minister, see, you hate to hear your wife say she right, especially when she tried to tell you, but your pride gets in the way. So that lets me know that your pride runs you. Your choices are predicated off your pride. I hate to see a woman that her shoulders are broader when she's wearing a Chanel purse. Because Brother Al, if she wearing a Chanel purse and she walking a different way than when she don't have on a purse, she got on a backpack, something's wrong. The purse is her author. The purse is her author. I got to get my nails done and my hair fixed every week. You don't have to do that. You choose to do that. Just like you choose to go broke. Just like you choose not to pay your tithes. Just like you choose to give God a meager offering. Just like you choose not to pray. Just like you choose not to read your word. Just like you choose not to meditate and show yourself approved. Just like you are where you are because your choices have been predicated off of something that lacks substance. The one thing that has substance is the word of God. We bicker and we blame everybody else for where we are. I don't know how many husbands have got beat down because the wife hadn't figured it out. I'm not talking about my wife, because I don't want you to get out here on Facebook and the pastor wore his wife out today. But think about it. The things that are closest to you are the most influential. So before you get married, you better ask, can I look at this as a resource? How can he help me? It's not being selfish, Sister Tanya. It's just that I need to make sure somebody can walk with me. I don't need nobody walking against me. Now that brings friction. The Bible even say, how can two walk together except they agree? Let's agree to go out here and be the best we can be. We all know that being an entrepreneur brings more wealth. How many people in here are entrepreneurs? I'm not talking about you got some on the side, but you're still working for somebody else. I'm talking about the ultimate faith of an entrepreneur. Don't play with me. Not today, because we're teaching today. We're not shouting today. How many people you work for yourself? 1, Who else? I mean, just by yourself. 2. Who else? Donnie, you work for yourself. 3, 4. We got 4 or 5 people that truly work for themselves. That's an entrepreneur. When you totally putting your faith in something. Now, I understand what y'all doing. You know, people got it on the side. They building it. I get that too. But raise your hand after you build it. And if you've dropped something else, and now you're saying, this is my source. Most people can never be truly what God made them to be because they always have jumping. You have jumping. You know, your toes still on the ground, but your ankle's coming up. Yeah, you ain't even jump. You know, you're afraid to jump because you don't want to make choices. You are afraid to do the hard things. This scripture right here seems elementary, but when you look at this and see what's at stake, when you look at words like destruction, that brings out something in my mind that this is serious. If I don't make the right choice, I will be destroyed. It's a promise, not an option. Your option is the choice to make before you get to destruction. Once you get to destruction, it's too late. Once you get before God, it's too late because all God is doing is regurgitating your life. And your life is predicated off your choices. So when people cry and people get in there and shout at these funerals, I'd be like, why are they showing? And I rarely see people come to the altar during a funeral and say, his living wasn't in vain, his dying wasn't in vain. I want to be saved. Then people look at me crazy, Pastor Summer, because I try to call altar call at every funeral I can. And you know what they tell me? That's not tradition. Who's tradition? Because you're telling me somebody's tradition who probably haven't lived to be 100 years old, so they really don't have influence because it's been quoted as 100 years after you die, not one person will remember you, nor what you did. I know some of y'all saying thank you. They slow this morning, but I'm going to stick with them, yeah. It's the truth. Look at Dr. King. All the work him and his committee put in. He died for the cause. But Al, come January 18th, 19th, whichever day it is, people look at that holiday now as a day to sleep, a party hard Sunday because they're going to have to go to work on Monday. But very few people even watch the service. You used to couldn't get in Ebenezer. You had to be a dignitary to get in there. They had security everywhere. Now they got rental cops at the door. Because as time goes by, people forget you. So you can't make choices off of friendships. I'm going to say this. The only choice you can make off of love is your love for God. Because some people make make choices in their marriage because of love. And I'm not talking about LOVE, I'm talking about SEX or the MONEY. I don't like this. I know it's a little different than I normally kind of wild, but it's the truth. We make these choices off of everything but the right thing. We have soil, but the nutrients and the minerals in our soil causes what we have not to grow. And we wonder why our feet are stuck in mud. We wonder why we can't draw closer to God. We wonder why we've never spoken with the evidence of speaking in tongues. We wonder why we've never been inclined to have a relationship with the Holy Ghost. We wonder why when people get mad at us, we automatically get mad back at them, but we say we saved. We wonder why how we go out here and we get jealous when we see somebody else starting to move up the chain and we go down here and try to ridicule them. We wonder why people get mad because the choice that they've made that I know God well enough to wear a shirt, but I'm not walking with him. That's a whole, I'm not walking with God today because the sex just too good. He relieves me. That's what they're saying now. He relieves me. I feel better. I don't want to be married. I just need him for what I need him for. See, everybody don't took on the concept of Rick James. Use and abuse. That's where we are right now. It's sad to say, but it's true. Your destiny is determined by your decision. Your choices are the hinges of your destiny. They're the hinges that your destiny live on. Your choices are the thing that makes you go which way you go. It's your choices. It's not your feelings. Because the world don't care about your feelings. Oh, on a credit card and don't pay it in 30 days and watch how quickly and happily they put that 29% interest rate on it. Go in the store and tell people you're hungry, this is all I got. They're going to say, well, you can only get whatever the value of the money you have. That's what you can purchase. People don't care. Your choices. Life presents many choices. The choices we make determine our future. Now, here's the sad part about that is that most of you don't know your future. In the Bible, we call future vision. What's your vision? What's your? I can't stand to see people, this is not a thing that's biblical, but it's just me. I can't stand to see men 50 years old and older buying tennis shoes every 2 weeks. I'm not jealous because I like boots. But you buying tennis shoes and you make sure you got the hat and the shirt to match. And I be wanting to ask them, how many of your grandchildren do you have a trust fund for? How many of them do you have an IRA account for? Is your wife set if you die? Or is she going to barely get some and then you go on and she going to be out here struggling? Because a man's true legacy only really rises after he's dead and gone. Do he run his house and how well he takes care of his wife even when he's in the ground? Choices. Choices, man. I see people, and I love, extracurricular stuff, but you're going out here supporting Arthur Blank. You don't have no land. You don't have a house. Family struggling financially. Now, for those who got a house and land struggle, that's fine. You can do that. But I'm talking about these other people who faking the facade because of a choice to have a good time. I'm going to tell you a secret. The games are much better at home when you get older because you don't have to go through the crowd trying to get to the bathrooms. I'm serious, true story. I had a guy call me this week, good friend might say, hey, I got 2 tickets for the Clemson game coming up. They're in the suite with some other people. You want to go? Nope. Man, we get parking pad, you want to go? Nope. Don't want to go. Why? It's a big game. Every game's a big game. I played in a lot of those big games. That's behind me. That won't get me closer to God. That won't allow me to have a better relationship with God now. I go if time permits, if I'm not doing something else, but it's not one of the high things on my priority list. Because the choices I make at 56 are not only for me and my wife now, they're for our daughters and our grandkids. So I'm trying to make sure that my grandkids are much better taken care of than my children were. That's a choice my wife and I made. So we make sure every month they're taken care of. I don't call it a bill, I call it an investment. A lot of people don't talk like that because got to keep getting this. I got to stay up with this. And I look at all these people who they don't feel like they have arrived, Pastor Summers, until they got a purse with a name on it. And I'm like, well, maybe put your name on it. Put Carol and Yancey on there and see how many people might buy your purse. Because if you get enough commercials and get enough people on virtual whatever, people will start buying it. They don't even know you. You live over in High Point off of Pryor Road, but you don't got that out there and got some nice, get some people, some weight. I mean, seriously, get you some of those people that walk down the runway, those models, and let them do it and get a nice background. People will start buying Carolyn's purse because we're influenced by that. We're influenced, especially our community. Our community don't let the dollar doesn't go around in our community one time. The Jewish community, the dollar go around 20 times. Then the Jewish community keep all the Jewish people together because they can work together. The Asian community try to keep all their people together. The Hispanics, they stay together. The Cushites, we don't like to share. Listen, I'm going to go I'm talking about even something more detrimental than money. We don't even like to share information. You found a come up, and instead of coming and say, Pastor, I got a testimony. Let me tell the whole church, you'll sit down and say, they'll see it when they see it when I get my new car. They'll see it when I bust these new shoes out on. The choices we make, man, are not prevalent choices. The choices we make are so far from God. When you start making choices to sacrifice for God, when you start making choices to put God first in your life and not lean to your own understanding, because your understanding coming from that what influences you. That what influences you is your flesh. I got to have an author with more substance than my flesh. If I really want to be something, if I really want to see what an advantage point is, I got to start doing something differently. I can't do it the way I've been doing it. It is in your moment of decision that your destiny is shaped. Today, you're going to have to make a decision. Do I go out and eat or do I go home and cook? You have to make a decision. This is the gas I got for the week. This is the money I got. This makes my decision for me. Because I know what my vision is moving forward. That my destiny is determined by my decisions. If I want peace in my life, one thing I have to learn to do is pray. I've had money. Money come and go. How many know that? Money gonna come and go. You're gonna have money, and then at some point, I don't care how good you ain't gonna have that money. But the one thing has brought me peace is prayer. Not just praying, but believing what I prayed, and then even the prayer of silence. And I know somebody saying, what does a prayer of silence mean? When I get down and I wait on God to talk to me. I would no longer be a part of one-sided conversations. And I'm the one doing all the narrating. Because that's what happens when we talk to God in prayer. We call it prayer. I call it shouting out everything you want from God, then you get up. We treat him like a rag doll and don't even realize it. True story. That's how we treat God. How many of you prayed, then you sit there and say, well, God, what's your will? And then you just tarry until God give it to you. If you're not doing that, at some point, then you're dictating to God. You're dictating to God all the time because you never allow him to even answer you or say, God, what's your will for me today? Not my will, but thy will be done. We know the scripture, but we don't live it. Interesting with this thing right here, this thing about decisions. It's interesting. Turn to Deuteronomy with me real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 30. So we're not going to shout today. This is going to be a real interesting thing here. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 19 and 20. When you have it, say amen. Deuteronomy is right before Revelations. You got to shout amen. Look at what it says right here now. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you. Wait a minute. Hold on, John. He said, God is telling Moses, this day I call the heavens and the earth. Earth is singular, heavens plural. Wait a minute. But what are you saying in the text? I can't make this up now. He said, to be what? As witnesses against you that I have set before your life and death, blessings and curses. Let me read this again. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you that I have set before you life and death. He said, I've set life and death before you. I'm gonna call earth and heavens to be witnesses to what's getting ready to transpire. He comes and says, now choose life. That's what he wants heaven and earth to watch. He wants them to monitor what your choice is. He said, choose life. Listen. How many of y'all cheated in school before? How many have ever cheated? Everybody raise your hand. Y'all, yeah. See no roll. I mean, we might have a roll scholar or two in here. I just don't know you. Everybody don't cheat. But he gives us the cheat. He gives us the answer done to the test. He tells us right here in the text, now choose life. But here's the part that catch me right here, Al. He says, and that you may love children so that you and your, hold on. Choose life so that you and your children may live. There we go. Mother Claudette, it gets real with that. He's saying choose life so that you and your children may live. So if you don't choose life, that means you and your children will be punished. You and your children will suffer. You and your children will feel wrath. How many of you have caused your children unnecessary abuse? I have. I have caused my children unnecessary abuse because I refuse to choose life. I refuse to trust God. I refuse to not lean to my own understanding. I refused to just hear God. I had to ask a friend what they thought. I felt better when I got some type of compilation from a friend. Okay, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. God said, I've been told you. He says, heavens and earth will bear witness for you if you choose life or if you choose death. He comes back and tells us right here what happens. And that you may love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him. A lot. Listen to his voice and hold fast to him. He's telling you the expectation. Listen, God is giving you a syllabus right here for life. He's giving you the syllabus to make the right choices. He says, listen to his voice. That's why I asked you earlier, how many of you pray, but you pray in silence so you can hear from God? Or do you have a script out prayer you pray every day when you're driving and you got the radio on, you're driving, or you're watching Robin Roberts in the morning on Good Morning America praying. You got all these things going on in the morning. You praying, and then you say you're hearing God, but the TV's on and the radio's on. How can we do this? I mean, really, like the church, like today, how do we grow? Because people don't like messages that help you grow because they challenge you because now you know the truth. We like messages that make us rah-rah and we become cheerleaders in church, and I ain't never seen cheerleaders make a lot of money. They look pretty. They got the nice little dainty dresses and skirts on, and they kick up and all that stuff there. But they're of no value. I mean, really, when you're talking to some guy that plays sports, they never even recognize the cheerleaders because they're too focused on the task at hand. He wants you to focus on the task at hand. He says, so your children may live and that you may love the Lord your God. Listen to his voice and hold fast to him, for the Lord is your life, and he will give you many years in the land he swore to give your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He tells us the answers to the test. Then he tells us once we pass the test what our reward is. How can we not make our decisions, Tanya, predicated off God? They say if you want to keep something from a black man, put it in a book. I say if you want to make Christians go to hell, read the Bible in truth. Because we don't like that part. We don't like the the part of it that it causes us to have to meditate, learn it, and understand the context. We like that part. Yes, and God was, and he was. He was. But today he is. And where are you today? And if you were to die today, where would you be? What would happen to you? It's amazing. The chapters before this, he talks about after they crossed the river of Jordan, in chapter 28, he talks about blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. Then in chapter 29, he talks about renewal of the covenant. Then he comes to chapter 30, and he talks about prosperity after turning to the Lord. He builds this whole thing up during Moses' time. The pastor of the old covenant. God is so strategic. He puts this whole thing in place. He has an equation for it. But we don't want to listen. And we dare to take him up on his word. When you have to be plucked and primed to go to church, or plucked and primed to bless God in your offerings, or plucked and primed to help somebody who you know is in need, you have a condescending attitude, which means that you can go to or fro. And you normally do with every wind of doctrine. You ask any minister in church, it's sad that the lowest time of the year in giving is during the summer months. I ain't got to be around. You can ask Pastor Summers when I leave. He'll tell you the same thing. Everybody I know, offerings drop during the summer because people make the choice during the summer to go on these excursions or to go on do this, and that's fine. That's fine. You should do those things with your family. But you should make the choice at the beginning of the year to make sure in the middle of the year that one thing I won't do, I won't cheat God. I got to, in the beginning of the year, say, well, this is what we're doing this year. This is our plan, honey. You're in agreement with it? Yeah. Okay, well, let's start planning how much we need to take out for this. What we have to sacrifice on, because what I won't sacrifice on is giving God. Because one day I'm going to have to meet him. And I want to make sure when I meet him, I'm in good standings. I cannot live my whole life, change my life from what my flesh was accustomed to, which was a good time, to meet God in judgment, knowing that I'm already condemned. That has to be a sad feeling for somebody to know they're dying, that they've already been condemned by their decisions. Very serious. I mean, it is. Church is what you make it. Whether it's an audience of 1 or an audience of 100,000, your relationship with God is a one-on-one thing. Has nothing to do with anybody else. How bad do you want to be successful? Not just financially, but spiritually. Because I've come to find out that there's no amount of money that can give you peace. And I know somebody in here saying, no, that's a story, Pastor. No, you give me $20,000. And so it never makes you at peace, because money doesn't make you happy. It reveals who you are. So with the $20,000, you're just going to show more of who you really are. Arrogant. You thought they was arrogant when they were broke. You haven't seen anything yet. You thought they were cussing when they were broke. Watch them now. They just use it in a higher pitch. Because people don't change until you give your life to Christ. And people don't give their life to Christ for real until they're ready to die to self. And people aren't ready to die to self until they make the choice that I want God to be the author and the finisher of my faith for the rest of my days. And I'm ready to give up everything else so that I can take on his cross. He says, well, first deny yourself so you can take on his cross. When I get to doing that, then I'm at a place where I'm ready to do some great things. Decisions determined by your destiny. Amazing how we look at this thing and we never think about life and death. And you know why people don't think about life and death? Because a lot of people don't understand the Bible. So we think we just die here. We think we die one time. But if you're not saved, you die 2 deaths. Jesus, I wish I had somebody else that'll jump with me on that and say, I feel this. Because this is what you're fighting for. Your choices has to lead to the cross. Your choices have to lead to, I don't want to die a second death. One is more than enough. I want my death to be that when I get up, I go before God and he say, you may enter. And that's the end of it. I don't want to have to go and then go into death and die into tormentation. I don't want that. I've lived too long. I've been to too many vacation Bible studies. I've been to too many churches. I've given too many offerings. I pray for too many people to have two funerals. One where a lot of people come and get up and lie about you. And then the second funeral where there's nobody there. But the people that are cheering this time are the amps and the demons that are saying, come on in. We will torment you for eternity. I don't want to die twice. I don't. And the only way I can ensure that I strengthen myself is getting back to the basics, the fundamentals of God. Giving God time every day. Through prayer and supplication, make your requests made known to God. You don't have to tell your friends nothing. Because most of them are glad that you got the problem. Most people like to see you suffer in their own unique way. People are only glad for you when you're beneath them. Now, if you got a nice Mercedes and they just got a car and the car is a Yugo, it's a 2001 Yugo, it's barely moving, but you got a car. They will celebrate you, Donnie. You know why? Because you haven't passed them. I just moved into a duplex. I'm so happy. That's good for you. Watch people with a house. They're so glad. But then tell them I moved into a mansion. Or don't tell them, just show them they see your house and then they think about what they got there. First thing they say is, how did she get this? I've never seen so many actors. The actors ain't in Broadway. The actors in church. Yeah, Denzel ain't got nothing. No, you're smiling and you're thinking, how did she get this? Because of your choices in life. Your choices. Your decisions determine your destiny. Do your choices define your destiny? I'm going to stop after this. But think about where you are in life today. And wherever you are, that's fine. But if you don't have a vision to where you're going in circles. Every road has to lead to another road. This road has to lead to another step. And this step needs to another step, because in life we should be going up. And if you're settled where you are and you're comfortable where you are, shame on you. Because if you're not growing, that means your faith has become dormant. And God tells us that without faith, it is what? Impossible to please him. What are your choices today? I mean, really, what are the choices that you're making today? Is God in control fully of your life? And if he's in control of your life, he's in control of your choices. So when the people are even nasty to you, you smile anyway. If people don't speak to you, you smile and keep speaking anyway. How you doing? They just keep on. Okay, well, next Sunday, I'm going to make sure. I say, how you doing? God bless you. You know why? Because it's giving you more power and more of an assurance, I'm truly connected. I'm truly connected to God. I cannot let things this simplified stir my spirit. It has to be something greater than that. Don't sit and allow your destiny to just happen to you. When you're sitting and you're not doing anything, you're giving the world the okay. You can come do as you will. When you're just sitting, I'm just such and such. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I like this job. I'm going to just stay here. You're allowing Satan to have authorship of your life. Because any time that you're doing something of relevance that don't require faith, then you veto God. If you're doing something that doesn't require faith, you have X'd out God. You need to have a decision, something coming up soon that's bigger than you. You need to have something bigger than you. And what's happening to you, it's a door that God is opening for you to walk through, but he can't push you through the door. When you come to the altar, these ministers will pray with you till their tongue turns brown, but they can't take you through the door. They can only get you there. So that poses the question, how bad do we want it? How bad do you want to be successful? Not in the eyes of your supervisor, but in the eyes of God. How many people want to be that type of person bad enough to where you're ready to come to the altar and say, God, clear my mind. Wash away all the things that have been causing me to falter. Clear it. Because if I clear it, I get a new slate. Here's the thing about God. He's a forgiving God. He's a God that if you're lost, he'll help you be found. He'll get you back on track, but you have to want this. This doesn't have anything to do with kinship, with kinfolk, with friends. This has everything to do with one individual, and that's you. Back to the basics is going to be very interesting because there's going to be a correlation between Sunday service and Wednesday night Bible study, Master Life class. Somebody in here wants to really get back to the basics of understanding the why. The why of God. How do I make myself better? I enjoy the praise team, but that only lasts temporarily. I understand the youth department and the band. I love the band, but that only happens and lasts temporarily. It's like a fix. Because that's what drugs do. They make you feel good long enough to let you fall to say, I got to go get another fix. But God is eternal. The Bible declares that he's everlasting. There's a different type of fix you can get that'll last forever. And that's in your relationship with God. And I pray today that somebody's at a place in their life where they say, I got to get back on track. I got to start over. I need some juice. I need to replug in. I need to revamp this thing. It's not that I'm doing wrong. I desire more. I need guidance. I need new direction, God. Somebody need to come to the altar as we stand this morning and say,
You've just had an experience with champions, and we are so glad that you tuned in today. Let's continue to honor God through our commitment to give. There are 4 ways to give. You can give online via Cash App at $Champions for Christ. Next, you can give online at www.championsforchristim.org. Lastly, you can give during service or on our mobile app available in the Apple and Google Play stores. Please be sure to tune in each and every week to our online broadcast. Encourage others to tune in with you. Remember, we are champions because we are champions for Christ.